Leather has been used by humanity for millennia. From footwear to warm clothing and belts to animal tack, this strong material has been essential to many centuries of cowboys, ranchers, and stylish business folk. Hello and welcome to another edition of Max Magazine. I'm your host, Brad Grass, and on today's episode, we're talking about the many uses of leather. Because in Saskatchewan, you're never a stone's throw away for some fine quality leather goods. And I happen to need a new pair of boots, so what better place to find boots than Cowtown, right here in Regina. Come on in. Here's the guy I'm looking for. Dale, welcome to the show.
Brad.
Okay, now, Dale Claypool, here at Cowtown in Regina. But Dale, you've been in the business since you were like how old?
About 8 years old.
Eight years old. What were you doing at 8 years old?
I was usually selling boots.
Were you?
Yeah. My dad helped me, or I was helping my dad sell boots to folks, get the boots.
Right, which is good. I mean, if you're looking for boots, Cowtown is the place to be. I mean, not just boots too, Dale, but you got casual wear, workwear, lots of workwear, lots of boots. I see tack back there.
Yep.
You got pets. This is the place to come to. Down to a whole floor dedicated to your pets. All kinds of great stuff. But today's show is all about leather. We're going to check out the great leather goods that they have here at Cowtown. But in your experience, Dale, because you've been in the business for a while, in your line of work, what would be some of the most popular uses of leather, do you think?
Well, probably belts, boots, like you said, moccasins.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, all our tack and saddles are all made of leather.
Yeah. Oh, and some of the coolest, what they're doing with leather now. What they're doing with leather boots now, you are going to be floored. That's amazing. But there's another guy that we're going to meet in the province here, at a small town, Saskatchewan, and he works with leather too. He makes saddle and bridles and tack, and you're about to meet him right now.
I don't remember half of the ones I made. In fact, we'll get looking through a photo album and I don't remember making that one or who did I make that one for? This is Rhonda's and it fits them really nice. This is when we lived north of Medicine Hat there. It was 90 miles to Medicine Hat, and if you broke something, and that was on an old gravel road, you know, and back in the 60s, 90 miles was a long trip. Not like it is today. So we didn't want to make that trip very often, so then I kind of started piddling and fixing things myself, you know. And as soon as you do that, then somebody else will come along with, could you fix this for me? And so the next winter, I decided to make my own then. And I built one. And I rode it for a while, and then a guy that used to work for me, he runs a pasture over east here now, he's seen it, and well, could you try one for me? So I made one for him, and then it kind of went from bad to worse there, because pretty soon I was building saddles all the time. I use Herman oak leather because it's the best leather you can buy, and for saddle skirting. But like a Herman oak, well, that old saddle of mine's a Herman oak saddle. I bought it new in 1963, and I look after my saddles, you know, and it's still, I think the only thing I've really replaced on it is I wore the stirrup leathers right out from rubbing on a horse. I wore them right to nothing, you know, but I didn't break them, I just wore them out. And like in the pasture, you don't just rope team roping steers, you rope everything, like the big old Charolais bulls and the big old Simmental bulls and everything, and you drag them down and stretch them out and treat them, you know. And this thing has done it for, well, since 1963. The tree is inside. That's the shape of the saddle, and that's like this thing here. And this thing is inside that saddle, and that's what gives it that shape. And that's where all your strength is in here. And then you just cover that thing over with the leather. You see, it's in here, and there's your cantle board here, and your front and your horn. So then you just cut leather and cover everything over, and then you put the riggings into the tree there. These are the fenders, and they just keep you from rubbing the heck out of your horse. The strings on most saddles anymore, they're just for decoration, really. These ones actually, in these old saddles, that's what held the saddle together, because they go right through the tree and into the skirts underneath, which is these things where they got the sheepskin on, and that just sits on the horse. But the new saddles, the store-bought saddles anymore, they just nail them on top. They don't really have a function. When I do a saddle, like this is the fender off the side of a saddle, and it's basket stamped and whatnot. So when I do that basket stamp, I make that tool to do that. And it's the only one like it in the world. So if somebody wants like saddlebags or anything to match this saddle, the only guy that's got that exact tool is me, because I made it. We're pretty fussy when we build one. It's picked out of the best part of the hides all the time. But anything I make, I just guarantee it. I've always done that. If something falls apart, bring it back, you know. It could be 10 years later. Most of the time I just cover it. but not very much falls apart.
Well, if you're looking for tack, you don't have to go to St. Brew necessarily to get it. You can come right here to Cowtown, because Dale, again, you've got all kinds of tack. Everything you need for your horses right here.
Right. This is your basic bridle that most people would start with. Mm-hmm. It's got the bit and range. It's a complete, ready-to-go unit.
But like the boots, I mean, and we'll get to the boots in a minute, but there's a lot of bling here. I'm noticing a lot of bling. Like this, some of these are very pretty, Dale. Now what's the story behind that?
Again, a lot of people are showing, going to rodeos, barrel racing. So bling is in. It's all hand tooled, hand painted again, just like the boots.
And who's buying most of these?
Women buy 90%, just like all shoppers. I'm proud of them. So that's why we gear more more tack is geared towards the women, because they're doing 90% of the buying. Sure.
And I mean, and this is. It doesn't stop here, of course. We've got all kinds, you can see all kinds of saddles here for just about every kind of horse, right?
Right, yeah, we can fit most horses. We have a guarantee fit. If it doesn't fit the saddle, you can bring it back.
I think you let them take it home for like a week, right?
Right, then, they have it for a week, and if it doesn't work, bring it back. And so 90% of the time it works.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. And you said, you made this comment before, it's like buying a car. Right. It's as much as you want to spend.
Right,
really.
The sky's the limit. You know, you can start like a saddle at $600 and go to $3,000 to $4,000.
So once you're done accessorizing your horse, you can accessorize yourself. You know, I think I need to be hooked up with a belt buckle.
Yeah.
Go show me where the belt buckle is.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Jessica. I work at Redline Harley Davidson. We're going to be talking about leather today, all the different riding gear that you can wear when you're riding on your bike.
I always believe in safety first. So when I ride, there's a whole bunch of components that I always have on my body. One is good boots, ankle boots, and they're leather. I will definitely wear my chaps on a long ride. Always a leather jacket. I also have a leather vest, and I will not ride without gloves on. And my gloves are leather. A good riding glove you're gonna find, because it's got a double stitched palm, and it's a little bit thicker through the palm.
There's going to be 3 different types of leather that you can wear. There's a quality of good, better, and best, but they're all made for top riding performance. Harley Davidson does test all their leather goods, and they're made for the comfort of the rider. Good would be something that would be for a fair weather rider, somebody who's new, just getting on the road. Better would be for something that's looking for maybe a little bit of both. Somebody that's going to go on the highway, also be in the city. Best is going to be for somebody who wants the absolute maximum protection, or who have been riding for years and they're just looking to upgrade.
I'd like to say I don't have a problem, but when it comes to leather jackets, I do. I have about 9 different ones. That's what happens when you work here for 10 years. But just different jackets will do different things. Like weather, for one, that's the biggest thing. I mean, just a good leather jacket will keep you warm. At the same time, too, when it gets hot, you can open the vents and keep yourself cool. But still, you mean, God forbid you ever use a leather jacket for what it's meant for. If you ever do fall down, you want to have the protection on you. So the leather's going to take the brunt, and it's going to take the wear instead of your arms or your skin or things like that. And I mean, as a rider, it's something that you just understand that possibility exists. So I'm going to do everything that I can to protect myself if it does ever occur. I personally like leather better just because of the strength of it. I like the fit, I like the look better. There's a whole bunch of reasons, but a lot has to do with I know the durability of leather. Like, I know it's gonna stay together if I ever need it to. I have to say that it has to do with the look of the leather too. Brand new leather jackets looks better. When it gets old and worn, it looks better. It's just the fit and the cut and, you know, the different things they have in them. Now, like, my one jacket has got battle armor in the elbows. It's a very thick leather. It's a waterproof leather. It's got a kidney belt in it. It's got M3 piping on it, so when a car headlight sees it, it pops right up and gets very large, so I'm very, very visible. This is a Harley Davidson custom seat. So we have a program. You can go pick out inlays. You can pick out colors that you want to add to the seat and different designs. So this has been laid into the leather, and then the red piping has been added to go obviously with the red and the color that matches this motorcycle and the theme of the bike. We're, as far as I'm concerned, the biggest, best motorcycle brand in the world. This year they come out with a lot of really incredible things on the motorcycle, and we call it Rushmore, which is really just a whole bunch of focus groups talking to riders, talking to people that ride, finding out what they want in their motorcycles. And Harley Davidson's done an excellent job of taking all that information and actually putting it into the bikes. They've done a lot of things too to make the passenger more comfortable this year, just listening to the passengers that are on the motorcycles, making the back seat a little bit wider, a little bit deeper, a little bit more comfortable, nicer backrest, things like that. Bikes that don't have saddlebags on it, like this one, you can get leather wrapped saddlebags. You can get a hard bag, or you can get a soft leather bag, things of that nature. A lot of the seats nowadays aren't constructed out of leather, but some of the higher end ones definitely will be. So a lot of times, not only for comfort, but it can also be another accessory to make your motorcycle just look that much cooler or badder, or however you want to put that. But the wearing with leather is great. I mean, it lasts forever and just is a very, very comfortable material to use for that.
Well, once you're done accessorizing your horse, you come over here, you start accessorizing yourself. I've got my spanky belt buckle here, Dale, and you get beautiful selection of buckles, not just belt buckles, jewelry, watches. All this comes from where?
Montana Silversmiths.
Montana.
Out of Columbus, Montana.
Yeah, and they're gorgeous. And again, sky's the limit when it comes to value here.
Yep, and they're all coated with a coating that so they don't tarnish.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, that makes it simple.
Yes.
Okay, so again, we can accessorize with our belt. You got jewelry, you got something for everybody. I mean, literally.
Yes.
All right, and then we've got boots. How many boots have you got?
We have about 1,800 pair of men's boots and about 500 pair of ladies' boots right now.
So like 20, over 2,200?
2,300 pair.
And they're all right here at Cowtown. So I'll tell you what, hook me up with some boots and then I think we're done.
Good.
Let's go check it out.
I'm a cordwainer, which comes from the French word cordwainer, which means to be with thread. English people separated that word into cobbler and cordwainer. So a cobbler fixes shoes and a cordwainer makes shoes. I did my undergrad at Concordia in Montreal, and I was home here in Saskatoon, and I was looking at some time off. I was working construction and I had the winter off, so I decided I'm going to teach myself how to make shoes. Far more complicated than I had anticipated. So I had always been interested in shoes. You know, my brother was the cobbler at the All Shop when he was a teenager, so I would kind of see him and what he was doing, and I always thought it was really interesting. So I thought, you know, I love craft. I love the utilitarian object and that relationship between form and function. So it made sense. So I was like, where can I get all the things that I need to actually do this? And I thought Montreal used to have an industry, like a large, shoemaking industry. And I went back to that city and started hunting around and found John Strathodakis at Imperial Boots and just harassed him for weeks. I extended my vacation. I went in every day with coffee and cookies and sandwiches. And, he was like, 40 years in here, I haven't shown anybody how to make shoes. And I was like, just come on, you can do it. So I just whittled him down until he took me on, and then I did that for 2 winters. Most of everything that I make is leather. And then the first thing that you're looking for when you're going over the leather is for cuts and scraps and imperfections and things like that. So once you kind of find a good spot, then you determine what the bias is of the leather. The leather stretches more one way than the other. And you cut the pattern in relation to that. So you want the stretch to be going with the person's foot. It's what I was trained to work with. I find it's more durable and it's a renewable resource. Like I would never use pleather because I don't think that it is as strong as leather. Once it rips, like with leather, you can actually stitch it back together or you could glue it back together. Pleather doesn't really react that way, and it doesn't retain heat as well. Like we live in Canada, and there's a lot of like thermal shock that your shoes go through because they're hot when they're in your house, and then you step outside and it's minus 25, and they kind of freeze, and the pleathers crack, and they don't. Your feet sweat because they don't breathe the same as leather shoes do. So it's just a better material to be using, I think, in my opinion. So when I am going to cut out a pair of shoes, I've got the last finished. So it's all built up, which I build it up with leather and different, sometimes I'll use auto filler. Like if I need to take a toe and make it really pointy. This is the last. So this, you actually stretch the shoe around this form, and it dictates the shape of the toe and the height of the heel. And so it actually has a hinge, and it opens and closes. So you can get it out after you've made the shoe around it. So it's kind of like a pun. Like my shoes last a long time because you're not, your feet aren't fighting with them. And I do a good job to make them, and I try to use the best materials that I can find and all that sort of stuff. And then they're lasted, so it's got 2 meanings. Now there's more measurements that you could take, but Mallory is young and in good shape, so you really don't need to know like all of the intimate details of what's going on with her feet. I have a lot of clients that have never had a pair of shoes that fit. So the relationship that I develop with those people in particular is quite intimate. There's a lot of, I think, respect that has to be given to a person who's maybe uncomfortable with the way that their feet are or uncomfortable with the way that they walk. So you can actually use that stretch to make a more comfortable fit, because I'm a firm believer that a good fit is like a nice handshake. It's not too loose, and it's not too tight.
This is the reason why I come to Cowtown, and it's the boots, because Cowtown has always had a fantastic selection of boots, but coming in here today, Dale, what they're doing with boots now is wild. Like, look at this.
Yeah, very exciting. A lot of the leathers are designed in Italy. This is a handmade boot made in Mexico, but as you can see, just whatever your imagination can put on a boot, just like a video game, you can do it on a boot now.
Like, look at this one. And this is all leather.
Yep, every ounce.
Wow, wow. So leather from Italy. A lot of this is made in Mexico.
Yeah,
right?
These 2 particular boots are made in Mexico.
Okay, but I'm going to pick out one here, and this was made in Mexico. This is beautiful. I just want to point out the detail of the
it's all hand tooled.
Yeah,
hand laced all the way up.
Look at
all
that.
the way around the edge.
Just some beautiful, beautiful boots. Now, you wouldn't want to wear these to work. These would be
no,
like,
they're strictly dress.
Absolutely. But here's the crazy thing, is that boots, we're talking about boots that are made from, like remember where they used to have snakeskin boots, right?
Yes, pythons.
Crocodile.
Yeah. A lot of problems.
Yeah, right?
In the long run.
You said ostrich, you mentioned ostrich.
Ostrich, yes, very good.
But you'll never guess what this boot is made of.
Elephant.
Elephant skin. Now, before anyone gets up in arms at home, not to worry, they're not hunted, all right? This is all World Wildlife Federation certified. What happens with these elephants?
Well, they get old and they cull the animals every so often.
Right.
And there's no really good time frame to tell you. Probably 10 to 12 years, we'll get a batch of elephants.
Yeah, these like come out once in a blue moon. These will come out, right? They're not like every day. So these are just gorgeous. And I imagine they last forever.
Yes.
Elephant skin.
Yes.
Right?
Well, they live to what, they're 100 years old?
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So
you're going to get another, so they don't waste nothing.
So on your 100th birthday, you buy another pair.
Right.
Yeah, these are gorgeous boots. Well, Cowtown is the place to go for boots, leather goods, accessories, workwear, casual wear. If you got pets, they got a whole floor downstairs for your pets. Everything you need right here at Cowtown. Dale, can't thank you enough for letting us be here, for being a part of the show, and thank you for this leather-tastic episode of Max Magazine. Until next time.
If you have program ideas that you'd like to see on Local On Demand, write us at max.local@sasktel.com. Max Local programming is now available online at maxonline.sasktel.com.